Susil Nelson-Kongoi. I'm the current president of the Business Council of PNG. And how I got that role, so I've actually been on the Business Council for close to 10 years, and I came in as a vice president, and it was interesting how I was nominated because I worked for a bloke whom I didn't very much like, but he really liked the fact that I had attention to detail. And so when they were looking for someone, he recommended me.
Okay.
So I thought it was really interesting, but he recommended me because I was very good at listening and also picking up the nuances, as in, okay, deconstructing. So this is all they said, but this is what they really mean.
Yeah.
So that's why I got the role. And I came in as VP in that role for 3 years, and then I got elected to president. And I actually was approached for president, but I said, look, I'm not ready yet because I actually worked at the time for ExxonMobil, and they didn't actually allow us to do outside sort of roles, especially at a higher up level. So I actually went and handheld another lady that was on the board with us, and I said, look, you can so do this because we don't want a bloke to get it, we want you to get it. And she goes, oh, I'm not sure. And I said, just do it. I'll mentor you, I'll be beside you, I'll help you, but you've got to be the face. So that's what she did. She took the role and she held it for 3 years. And then when she stepped down, I got nominated to the role because I had left Exxon and I was in a position. So I did 2 years, and then in November last year, I think I got re-elected unopposed by the whole membership, which is largely male membership. And I think it's a lot of what I said. It's about building trust and relationships in Port Moresby, but also being able to back it by action, so you deliver on what you say you're going to do. And I think a lot of, under my watch now, we've gone into actual advocacy with the government. So we've got technical working groups that we formed that goes into task forces, and every quarter we have what they call a business to government consultative forum. So I sit with the chief secretary and we talk about what's important for business. And then under my reign, also looking at how we can do reports that support, like some of those business positions, including writing technical working briefs. And I think that's the value I bring from structure and from the private sector that I've been involved with. Yeah, so that's how I got into that role.
Okay, and so has part of that been, as you say, that consultation with government and trying to improve some of those relationships as well as those pathways?
Yeah.
Has some of that also been to do with encouraging, as you said, women in those pathways?
Yes.
And is that working, or is there much pushback with that?
Yes, so every role that I've taken, so I also chair Digicel Foundation, which Lorna just spoke about, and I also chair another organisation called the Business Advocacy Network, which is a US aid organisation. And at the premise of everything that I join in terms of association is really about how do I push the leadership to be more inclusive of women. So even at the Business Council, we recommend onto boards, who sits at the table. So I always recommend women first, like in the lineup there always has to be a female, because I believe that if we have women in those decision-making positions, it actually changes the thinking and the scope of everything. We're more inclusive by nature, we're not exclusive. And I've seen that from my interactions at the different board levels. Often I've been the only female in the room, and it's not about being loud and proud, it's really about influencing without authority and seeing, how people operate so that you can sort of, like water, fill yourself into those spaces. That's what I think. And I belong to, and I really started the Business and Professional Women's Association. I was the immediate past president, and we're going to be a federation this year. Everything that I've mentioned, the community club, the women in leadership, the women in business, is really built on the premise that we need more women in all those spaces. And the women in leadership, we just say women in leadership, but don't denote it as being political or private because of the landscape that we operate in. But it is absolutely about mention, we need them in government to be able to look at policies that are more inclusive for women. So I also do a lot of policy advocacy and then build the younger generation. So we have a component of young BPW, so younger women between 18 and 35, and include them in some of the discussions about policy. We're going to exit, so we need others to take up that bandwidth and start doing it. So that's the succession plan. And I haven't been able to do it anywhere else. I've created, systems that can actually amplify what I'm doing and get like-minded people. I recently created a group called the Sparkles Group, which is what Tahina's talking about, her other network. And it's really about women who are already in decision-making level and how to support each other, because you need a safe space to actually talk about ideas that you have and not have people pass judgment on it. But so they're like the cheerleaders. They say, hey, absolutely, you can do it. And I know who can help you do this. And so that's that group, the Sparkles group. So we meet, have lunch, but we also encourage, to develop thought papers or concept papers and how we can do that. And this is why I actively mentor some of the women in there, but they also, when I'm looking for feedback, I use that mechanism as well.
So you're finding that's translating to the political arena, like you were saying, you need women in the top jobs, not just in business, but also in politics. So given that we know what PNG is like in terms of its elections and its leadership and what have you, not always stable, but they're changing occasionally. So are you finding that what you've been talking about, is there a translation or a transition where a lot of that potential is moving into the political arena?
Yes, so hence the creation of BPW Leader Mode, which is about leadership. And we're looking at not also ways to raise the visibility of women who are moving into politics. So there's a program that's currently running in our patron, Dame Carol. Yes, she's the patron of BPW, and is looking at how we do that. So she's running a current program. But the other big piece of that is funding, to fund women into these spaces. So that's something else using our BPW network, is to look at how we can look at funding mechanisms that are organic and within PNG that are sustainable. So yes, we're developing something, but I'm not at liberty to say but absolutely. I think the two main things is increasing the visibility of women, and hence this group, because prior to the 2027 election, we created a group and we profiled women candidates, because we wanted, there was so much negativity out there about them that you just needed to say, hey, look, this is who they are, this is what they represent, because it's all about them being visible. So we ran a marketing campaign basically for potential candidates and what they could possibly bring. And then we went to the extent of actually trying to host national debates, in the different electorates. So you have and bring on your opponents or the other candidates. But women said yes, we want to do it, but the men didn't want to do it.
Didn't want to do it. I was going to say,
because it puts them on. It holds them accountable to whatever comes out, and they say,
and they tend to be fearful of that sign of strength in women, which is a shame. Because you don't get that, and that's the barrier, obviously, and often that we're facing, that women face.
Yes, that's right.
One of the things in terms of the session we were just talking about was focused obviously on sport, but it was about investment, whether that be in sport or that be in other areas. So investment, how are you finding, from your point of view, and again it can be sport or in any other sector, investment in PNG, how is that both impacting and benefiting women overall?
Yeah, I think very little. And I think now that there's more awareness, I mean, we had the other day attending here at Women Deliver was the Parliamentary Committee on GBV, but it looks broadly on the gender agenda. So we had the chair, and who is the governor of Moresby, and his deputy, who was the governor of my province. And I was really encouraged to see them here, because I feel that for things like that, for investments to benefit women, especially if it's coming from, government sectors, and government is the largest investor. We need those men that are sitting around the table to have the gender lens. Yeah, so I think it's important that, they attend things like this and see what the impact is, that they can actually localize, take it back and localize. So I think currently in PNG, there's some movement on it. There needs to be more, dialogue around what that might look like and the design of those investments. And I think, JEDC, we've got that. But still people don't understand to the extent of how JEDC looks like, whether it's an infrastructure, for example. How is it friendly to women to participate, those large infrastructure projects, for example. So yes, it's there. Things are changing, but not shifting at the magnitude that we want. And I think all of that is about information, access to information, and how it impacts on people individually. Yeah.
It's just occurred to me, is it a question of also generational change? Some of the things we were talking about before and that Tahina is very focused on is how men and boys, or young men and boys, address the gender situation. So is it that perhaps in the situation that you're describing that we possibly must wait for a generational change where the men that move into politics have been raised with a different mindset about gender?
Yeah.
Do we have to wait for that, do you think?
Yes, I think so. That's actually interesting. I have a son, and he's a toddler, and everything I do, it's on the premise that you've got to do it. It's not just the woman's role to do it, without saying it, but teaching him those skills. I think absolutely it's generational. I think about my younger brothers, they're like paramount chiefs. My dad is a paramount chief, but because my mother raised them in such a way, they do all the legwork, and they're inclusive of us, their sisters, so we act as a unit. So I think it's generational, and it's intentional according to who is passing on that skill set as well. My mother and father are both educated Papua New Guineans to university level, so they believed in education as an equal opportunity. So, and because they believed in that, not necessarily the environment around that believes that.
No.
Yeah, but if they can position, like their daughters, every time we had a big, meeting, my dad ran for elections. He wasn't successful 2 rounds. He's passed on now, but at his election campaigns, he would bring us, his daughters, to come and speak. So it normalizes them seeing us in those roles.
It's also that leading by example too, like you say, both educated to a high level sort of thing, and just leading by example,
correct,
both in thought as well as action.
Yes, correct, intergenerational, and certain level of exposure as well.
Yes.